It was just another bright, bouncy morning at Sprunki Studio. The kind of morning where every beat dropped in perfect time, and the sun always hit just right through the windows. The studio was alive with sounds. Claps, snaps, bass drops, giggles, and the occasional offbeat kazoo noise, probably Fanbot again. The middle of the chaos, as usual, was Oren. Orange, round, and endlessly energetic. His golden headphones bobbed up and down as he bounced between loop pads and mixing tables, adding random silly samples to everything. He remixed a cat sneeze into a drum line and laughed so hard he fell backward into a beanbag. "Yo, who added fart bass to my love beat?" yelled Beatron from across the room. Oren held up both hands, grinning like he'd just won a Grammy. Guilty, but admit it, it slaps. Suddenly, the energy shifted. The door creaked open, and in walked Pinky. She didn't say a word. She never needed to. She floated across the room with that soft kind of confidence. The kind that didn't scream for attention, but somehow made everyone stop what they were doing for a half-second too long. Pinky was wearing her usual soft pink shade with her signature purple bow. In her arms, a sketchbook filled with origami hearts and weirdly specific doodles of microphones with bunny ears. Oren blinked, hard. He felt something in his chest do a little glitch pop. "Whoa," he mumbled under his breath. "Whoa, what?" asked Fanbot, popping up beside him. "Nothing, air glitch." But the truth was, Pinky wasn't usually in the main studio. She mostly stayed in the art room or the garden area, folding paper, minding her own business, living in a world of ink and sparkle pens. The fact that she was here, in his audio zone, made Oren weirdly aware of how messy his corner was, and that he might have jelly on his hoodie. As Pinky sat at the far end of the studio, quietly sketching something with an oversized glitter pen, Oren kept stealing glances, each time pretending he was adjusting his synth board or scratching his ear. "Hey, Oren," said Beatron, waving a beat pad in front of his face. "You're short-circuiting or something? Earth to orange head." "I'm fine," Oren snapped, a little too loud, then softly just recalibrating. But the truth was buzzing behind his eyes. There was a new energy in the air today, one that couldn't be mixed, recorded, or looped, one that had pink bunny ears and a smile that made your heart miss a beat. For the next few days, Oren tried to play it cool. Keyword tried. Whenever Pinky walked into the room, he'd suddenly find something to fix. His beat pad, his hoodie strings, a scratch that didn't exist on his elbow. Anything to avoid looking directly at her for more than 1.3 seconds. But Pinky, she didn't seem fazed. She'd hum to herself while sketching. Fold paper hearts absent-mindedly during group meetings. Leave random little bunny ear stickers on the backs of chairs and tabletops, like quiet reminders that she had been there, soft and subtle like her. One afternoon, chaos struck, as it always did in Sprunki Studio. Fanbot, in one of his let's break physics today moods, rigged a contraption that accidentally launched a bucket of glitter confetti into the air, right when Pinky walked by. The blast hit her head on. Pink shimmer rained down like magic. Everyone froze, except Oren, who tripped over his own feet trying to catch the bucket midair and landed right at her shoes. "Oh no," he gasped, looking up. Are you, that was, Pinky blinked, then giggled. She reached down, picked up a small paper heart from the floor, it must have fallen out of her notebook, and stuck it to his forehead. "There," she said, "fixed." Oren might have just melted into a puddle of orange goo. Later that day, while cleaning up confetti from the studio floor, he found another paper heart on the carpet. This one was different, more carefully folded, with tiny doodles around the edges. Inside, written in a swirly pink pen, "To the one who makes my heart skip beats, literally." Oren froze. His heart dropped to his knees, then flew back into his chest and started doing a drum solo. Was that for him? Had she noticed his glitchy beat whenever she walked by? He didn't sleep that night. He just lay in bed with the paper heart over his face, wondering how many beats it would take to gather the courage to ask. The next morning, he walked into the kitchen area and boom, ran right into Pinky. Literally, their heads bumped, a water bottle fell, and they both scrambled to pick it up. She handed it to him with her usual quiet smile. He stared at her. She stared back. Silence. Then, "Cool bottle," he blurted. "Thanks," she replied softly. "Cool. Headphones." "Yeah, they help me focus on beats and stuff." Stuff. Important stuff, like notes, frequencies, origami. She raised an eyebrow. Origami? Oren immediately facepalmed. Forget it. I have to go calibrate my brain. He practically sprinted out of the room, leaving his muffin on the table and his dignity on the floor. From across the studio, Fanbot peeked over his monitor. Bro's got it bad, he whispered to Beatron. Beatron sipped his smoothie. He's not even trying to hide it. I say 2 days till public confession. Max. $10 says he sings it instead. Deal. Back in the beat booth, Oren stood alone, holding the paper heart in one hand and clutching his headphones in the other. This is getting ridiculous, he muttered. He looked toward Pinky's desk, empty now, and whispered to himself, Okay, Oren, time to remix your heart. That evening, Oren stayed behind after everyone else had left the studio. The lights were low. The synths hummed softly, and the only sound was his steady tapping on the beat pad, slow at first, then growing bolder, like his courage was sinking with the tempo. He wasn't making a remix for fun this time. This was something different. He layered a soft melody first, light like Pinky's giggle. Then a kick drum, steady and awkward, kind of like his heartbeat around her. Then a sample of paper folding. He'd secretly recorded it earlier while she was making origami. Finally, he added his own voice. If you're hearing this, you've probably already figured it out. Yeah, it's about you. And yeah, you kinda stole my heart. He winced at the last line but left it in anyway. He saved the mix under the title, Heart.exe. And then he froze. How was he supposed to give it to her? He imagined walking up to her, handing over the headphones and saying, Hey Pinky, want to listen to something I made? Casual, cool. Except it would definitely come out more like, Hi you hey do you, listen. And then he'd probably trip on his own shoelaces and knock over a keyboard. So instead he left the headphones on her desk. No note, no explanation, just hope. The next morning, Pinky found them waiting for her. She hesitated. Then slowly she put them on. No one saw her reaction. No one heard what she whispered. But when Oren walked into the studio later that day, something had changed. Everyone looked at him and grinned. Why's everyone staring? He asked nervously. Fanbot whistled innocently. Beatron winked. Even the normally chill Cynthia was smiling weirdly. He turned and there she was, Pinky, standing at his desk, with a paintbrush. Oren blinked. Hi? She didn't say a word, just stepped forward and gently painted a glowing pink heart on the front of his hoodie, right over his chest. Then she leaned in close and said softly, just loud enough for only him to hear, You didn't lose your heart, Oren. You left it where it wanted to stay. Oren's face turned redder than a tomato in a microwave. He opened his mouth to say something, anything, but all that came out was a squeaky, okay. Pinky giggled, gave his headphone cord a tug and walked away, leaving behind a trail of glitter stickers and the sound of a heart remix still looping in his head. At the far end of the studio, Fanbot finally exploded. I told you it'd be a confession track. Beatron groaned. Dang it, that's $10. And from that day forward, whenever Oren wore that hoodie, with the pink heart on his chest, he walked a little taller, smiled a little bigger, and always remixed with a little more heart. From the moment the pink heart appeared on Oren's hoodie, the entire Sprunki studio changed. Not in a bad way. In a ridiculously teasing, over-the-top, can't-escape-it kind of way. Fanbot made it his personal mission to remix Oren's confession track into every background beat. Suddenly, You Kinda Stole My Heart was echoing from vending machines, hallway speakers, and the intro to the lunch break alarm. Even Beatron started slipping origami hearts into Oren's backpack. For emotional support, he said with a dramatic bow, in case Pinky's love becomes too heavy to carry alone. Oren tried to play it cool again. He failed again. Because Pinky? She smiled more now. She started joining music sessions, sometimes adding subtle percussion, sometimes humming backup vocals that made everyone freeze mid-beat like they'd heard magic. And every now and then, when Oren was deep in a new track, she'd sneak up and gently boop his headphone from behind. Heart check, she'd say. It never failed to turn his face into lava. One afternoon, the teasing reached a whole new level. Someone, probably Fanbot, no one could prove it, started a love remix challenge. The rules were simple. Remix any existing confession beat. Must include a pinky moment. Bonus points for sparkles. It was chaos. Cynthia created a dramatic orchestral trap version of Oren's track. Absolutely. Here's the final part of the story. Part 5. A heart on the wall and a beat that never ends. The next morning, the studio felt different. Not because of any big announcement or dramatic twist, just warmer. The kind of warm that lingers in the air after laughter, after music, after something true has been shared and understood. Oren arrived early, earlier than usual. He carried something under his arm, a square wooden frame with a heart inside, the original paper heart Pinky had dropped the day glitter rained down, the one that made everything start. He'd added something too, a waveform, the printed waveform from their duet track last night, visible only if you knew what it was. Simple, quiet, meaningful. He didn't hang it in his booth. He didn't even ask permission. He just walked to the studio wall, right above the main mixer where all their tracks were born, and pinned it there. No spotlight, no fanfare, just a quiet corner of the room, where their story would stay. Later that day, Pinky noticed it. She paused, tilted her head, smiled, then gently peeled a bunny sticker from her sketchbook and pressed it onto the bottom right corner of the frame. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. Oren was across the room, pretending not to watch. He failed miserably. As the week rolled on, something unexpected happened. Other Sprunkists started adding their little symbols to the frame. Fanbot slapped a neon emoji sticker on the side. Beatrin left a tiny cassette-shaped button hanging from a thread. Even Cynthia, the cool one, quietly placed a glowing treble clef charm at the top corner. It wasn't just Oren and Pinky's anymore. It was everyone's reminder. That heart mattered. That expression mattered. That love didn't have to be loud to be real. One evening, the group gathered for a final mix-down party. Oren and Pinky sat side by side at the console, headphones sharing one jack, bodies swaying ever so slightly to the same rhythm. Finbot leaned in, whispering to the others, "They haven't even kissed yet. What kind of slow-burn anime is this?" "Shh," Beatrin grinned. "Let 'em vibe." The lights dimmed. The room pulsed softly with their newest track. No lyrics, just harmony. And as the beat faded, Pinky leaned her head onto Oren's shoulder and whispered, "I never stole your heart, Oren." He turned, eyes wide. "You gave it to me. But just so you know, I'm never giving it back." Oren grinned, leaned into the moment, and whispered, "Good. I'm building every beat around it now." And from then on, whether the studio was loud or quiet, whether they were remixing bangers or folding bunny-shaped napkins, their rhythm stayed the same. Not perfect, not always in time, but honest and beautiful.